Happy Saturday, dividend growth stock investors. It's Colby, the DGI Crab, coming at you with some good news on a Saturday. So, once again, one of the 60 high quality dividend growth stocks that this channel focuses on has announced a dividend increase over the week, and it is none other than Lockheed Martin, the military contractor, weapons manufacturer extraordinaire, and a top 10 stock that, in my opinion, if I was only able to hold 10 single stocks in my portfolio, Lockheed Martin would be one of those stocks. This is going to be the 22nd year in a row that Lockheed Martin has increased the dividend for shareholders, meaning they are just 3 years away from dividend aristocrat status. Now, I'm not a licensed professional financial advisor. Just because this is on my top 10 list doesn't necessarily mean it's something you should run out and buy right now. You should do your own due diligence on anything that you put your hard-earned money into. But for my money, this is just one of those stocks that I think is going to be around for a long time and profitable for a long time, because when the United States government is your biggest customer, well, there's probably going to be a lot of money that goes your way. And with all the trouble that's brewing in the world right now, the conflict between Israel and Iran and Lebanon, and of course the continued conflict between Ukraine and Russia, it just seems like Lockheed Martin, for better or worse, is going to be pretty busy for the next little while here. Not a political statement. This show is not about politics, so we'll keep our opinions about any of those conflicts to ourselves as far as I am concerned, but we're here to talk about the dividend. So what did Lockheed Martin do? Well, they have increased their dividend by 15 cents per share. So they've gone from $3.15 per quarter to $3.30 per quarter, which represents an increase of 4.76%. So I've got to tell you, I'm personally pretty disappointed with this dividend increase. I think Lockheed could have done double this increase and been perfectly comfortable to continue to do what they do. They've got plenty of cash flow, plenty of room to increase the dividend. I was personally expecting a lot better than 4.76%. If we hop over here to Seeking Alpha, we look up Lockheed Martin and go to the dividends tab and look at that dividend scorecard. The annual payout hasn't been updated yet on Seeking Alpha. Come on, let's go, Seeking Alpha. Let's get this going. This is going to be 1320 now. But the payout ratio here is really what we're looking for. 44.29%. Fantastic payout ratio. Wonderful balance between continuing to put money into the business, but also rewarding shareholders with dividends. As close to 50% as possible, to me, is an ideal payout ratio. Lockheed Martin is very close to that 50% mark. They have a 5-year growth rate of just shy of 7.5%, which is what I was expecting from Lockheed Martin this year. So this one, again, this is a bummer to me. I think Lockheed could have gone from, so they went from 315 to 330 per quarter. I think they could have easily made that 340. Which would have been a dividend increase. That was kind of what I was expecting, to be honest with you. That would have been more in line with their 5-year growth rate. Instead, they opted to do a much more conservative dividend increase. So if we take a look at the spreadsheet here, Lockheed Martin falls under the Tier 2 investor category for me. So 60 dividend growth stocks split into 4 separate tiers based on your age. So for me, Lockheed Martin is in the Tier 2 category, most appropriate for the age 31 to 41-year-old investor. The reason for that is for Tier 2, we're usually looking for stocks yielding somewhere in the low 2% to the low 3% starting yield range. And we're wanting a cumulative annual growth rate on these stocks to be somewhere in the 7 to 10% range. Closer to 10%, the better. Lockheed Martin, I think, is one that probably needed to do a larger increase, because even with now you'll see I've updated my spreadsheet. I'm ahead of Seeking Alpha here, you guys. That's the kind of commitment I'm making to my own investing and to you guys. They are yielding, after this kind of sad increase, 2.18%. The 4-year average yield at 2.66% means that this stock is about 18% overpriced. It is the second most overpriced stock in this particular tier. Only Caterpillar is a worse value right now. And again, just give me a 7.5% increase. Even at that point, if they had done, the 7.5 that I was expecting, it would still be overvalued by my metric. But again, this is one that I think could have done a lot better for us shareholders than 4.76%. Certainly happy with the way that the price has appreciated over time. My average cost on Lockheed Martin it's definitely under $400. It's somewhere in the $350 range. Sorry, I didn't have that ready. I can double check that. But so this is definitely one that, from a share price perspective, I'm way up on this one right now. But if you're familiar with me and with the content that this channel is all about, my concern really is not share price overall. I don't want stuff that just tanks in share price. We don't want to sacrifice share price appreciation for like a really high dividend yield starting off. Let's see, 425. Sorry, I had to double check that. 426.64 is my average cost. Not to brag there, but I haven't bought Lockheed Martin for a while. That's why it's so low. The only thing that's been going into my Lockheed position has been the dividend reinvestment. And I want my dividend yield number overall to go up. And it's certainly going to go up right now with the 4.7-ish% increase. But personally, I was just expecting more. So what do you guys think? Are you shareholders of Lockheed? Are you satisfied with this dividend increase? It is better than a cut. It's better than nothing at all. We should never, snub a dividend increase necessarily. But for me, I wanted something that was better than this one. If we look at what they did last year their dividend increase was 6.58%. So last year was pretty conservative as well. So I was really thinking this was going to be a year for Lockheed where they would go maybe a bit above and beyond the 4-year average, and they just didn't do it. So, oh well, it's still a fantastic stock to have in your portfolio. It's certainly one that I will almost assuredly never sell, even in my retirement age when I'm living off of my dividends. Lockheed Martin would be one of the very last positions that I would even think about just liquidating out of and using that money to live off of, cover expenses, or shift into higher yielding equities. But not super thrilled with them today, though. But I'll get over it. I will get over it. I do think so. All right, everybody. Well, that's enough from me. Very happy Saturday to you all. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend and that you'll spend a lot of time with friends and family, maybe watching some football. Beautiful weather here in the Midwest right now. Maybe you'll spend some time outside grilling or picnicking or just doing some nice outdoor activity before winter and the cold really sets in. But definitely in the middle of all of that, when you got a little bit of time, just spend a few minutes going over the Friday video and get a game plan going for your investing in the coming week. It's always good to have a game plan going into the week so you know where your new capital is going to be deployed. I'm not going to be deploying any capital to Lockheed Martin this week. I can tell you that much right now, unless that share price just tanks by about $100 or more the next few days. And somehow I just don't see that happening. Until next time, everybody, my name is Colby, the DGI Crab. Take a look at the links in the video description below to a video on each of the 4 tiers where I break down all 60 of the stocks over those course of those 4 videos, explain why they made the cut for my list of the top 60 and why I think that each age range is appropriate for that particular cluster of stocks. And email me any questions you may have at dgicrab@yahoo.com. I'm always happy to answer viewers' questions with an email, or perhaps even do a video response if it requires a very detailed and in-depth answer. Till next time, everyone, take care and have a great weekend.